All right, well, 75% of U.S. newspapers now allow users to comment online, up from just 33% a year ago. But by letting readers say a few words, papers have gotten more than they bargained for. In the world of the web, pernicious posters have become a national epidemic. At Boston.com, editors say they wage a daily battle with users who post comments ranging from the pornographic to the profane, from the grossly insensitive to the anti-Semitic.
I don't have a single image. All I know is it's somebody with time on their hands and hate in their hearts.
Boston.com editor David Beard says there's no easy solution. Pre-screening comments can frustrate users, and removing offensive ones can seem like censorship. So they do a little of both.
It's not by no means perfect, but it's better than many other newspaper websites and other sites have done.
Other websites have their own problems. At WashingtonPost.com, one commenter called Barack Obama a porch monkey. And at the Hartford Courant, online racism got so bad that Mayor Eddie Perez led a sidewalk protest in front of the paper. David Beard says that kind of stuff doesn't fly at Boston.com.
They're bounced.
Meet one of Boston.com's bouncers, Globe editor David Yee.
Here's a live one that came in just a little while ago in a comment to an article on the Boston Bruins, and amid all the passion about the condition of the team, there's a obscenity being used, so it has to go out.
Boston.com cancels comment privileges for repeat offenders, and many sites have installed so-called bozo filters that automatically screen for offensive words.
It is effective, although there are ways around it, so it is a running battle.
And some frustrated journalists are fighting back. Washington Post media critic Howie Kurtz calls them whack jobs. Globe columnist Yvonne Abraham says they're despicable. Webmasters call them trolls. And likely trolling for publicity, like this. Yeah, you got to wonder, Josh, if newspaper editors really thought about this in advance, because this whole blog world, it's an absolute no-no to take anything off the blog, even if it's incorrect. You cross it out, do that kind of editing, but you always want to have the original words, the original work there. What's the compromise here? Because it is editing, censorship, whatever term you want to use.
Well, let's be clear. There's not really a free speech legal issue here, because while racist and crazy people may have the right to publish their views, they don't have a right to publish them on Boston.com or on any other website. The people who control the website have that right to determine what kind of a community of readers and writers they want. Now, newspapers and other news organizations gain tremendous amount of value from the comments that they have on their website. They gain an economic value because more comments mean that more people are going to be returning to those pages, spending more time there, taking up the ads. They're getting something out of it. So it's only fair that newspapers invest in the kinds of things that the Boston Globe and others are doing, having people monitor the conversations, make sure that they are fitting the tone that they want it to fit. And that is completely within their legal rights, and I think it's a very smart thing for them to be doing. My favorite method of doing it is a newspaper that I won't mention because they like to keep this method secret, but they have a program that runs on their website that every time someone leaves a comment, a series of unfortunate comments, they ban the person, but they set a cookie on that person's computer so that person thinks they can continue to comment. Oh. And the comments appear only on their computer. So they wonder why no one's reacting to them, when in fact they're just shouting into the wilderness.
I think Emily does that sometimes on my microphone. I think I'm talking, but I mean, how you look at these message boards is either civic engagement or it's crackpot engagement, one or the other. And you're absolutely right. It really comes down to an issue of economics for websites. It's page views. Page views equal revenues, and revenues are important. And in some cases, these comment message boards result in millions of additional page views per day. So it's really a substantial economic benefit. But I think also there's a legal issue here, not a free speech issue, I agree with you, but lawyers advise newspapers and other news organizations don't get too involved in trying to moderate these discussion boards, because then you have ownership in terms of what's on there. Yeah. So you got to be very, very careful somewhat in terms of that.
You know, now I know that when I have trouble posting a comment to a site, I've hit the bozo filter. That explains a lot. No, listen,
you get a number of them on your blog.
I know.
Oh my
I know,
goodness.
but there's no bozo filter. Just the bozo.
Yeah.
This is a huge issue for news organizations right now. And one thing that I've detected is that 2 or 3 years ago, there was a sense that we ought to be as wide open as possible, including anonymous comments. Within the last year or so, I think there's been a pulling back in a sense that maybe what we need to do is to require people to use their real names or at least a consistent pseudonym, and therefore they'll take more responsibility for their words. The other thing, and this runs right up against the economic crisis that's hit the news business, unfortunately, organizations that have had the best luck with comments are those that get their journalists involved in the comments, and they're responding and taking part in a conversation with their readers. And those work really well, but that takes time, and time is money, and nobody has any money right now. So it's a real dilemma.
And the same way, I mean, who can afford to have somebody monitoring too? And that becomes another economic issue for a lot of these sites. I'm of two minds about it. One, I detest the despicable comments because most often they're racist, and that hits me right where I live. On the other hand, I have to say in 2 instances this past couple of years where there's been clear racism running in the comments, I think it's been valuable for people to see what's going on in some communities. And one is when Oprah decided she was going to support Barack Obama. The comments on her site were really instructive for people to understand, oh no, we have not overcome. And likewise, in the wake of the IMA situation, when Al Roker wrote his very calm, but I'm distressed about it for my daughters on the site, the turnaround, I mean, this man is as mild as it can be. The nastiness, the level of evil that was directed at him, I think it was important for some people to see this is the depth of where we can get. Having said all that, I don't really want to see that stuff. It's very painful to see it on the site on a regular basis. Right. But it can be instructive in a weird way, but at the same time, I'd like to know that somebody's monitoring at least the very basics to try to rid it of the worst kind of stuff on the site. And when it works well, as it has on some beautiful pieces I've seen on the Times, where the comments just go for 200, it's fascinating to see what people have to say. And they often could lead to different stories.
It is important also to let people other commenters have some mechanism for reporting something they see as being really over the line. And at the Herald we have that, and a lot of websites have that, where if they're flagged, there's some action.
And I think a lot of newspapers could be more selective about where they allow commenting to take place. You see such a lower quality of comments on murder stories. That always brings out the worst in the commenters that you have. You know, crime stories. I think an average newspaper editor could probably predict what are the stories we're publishing today online that are going to generate the nasty, useless comments.
One of the most vicious ones was when that couple who lost both of their kids in that horrible accident, and the comments on that one were just unbelievable.
And then how do you trace it? It's because I lurk a lot. So I'm looking at my own habits and saying, often I'm just reading. I never comment. And so you get these same 5 people commenting, but there's so many more people who are reading and appreciating the piece, we just don't say anything. So I don't know how you balance that.